I just need to make a quick shout out to Bill. As soon as he started talking up the Richmond Tigers, they've been playing like absolute So, what's up everyone? It is your boys from Melbourne, and we are back for yet another edition of the official NBA Beancast. Now, unlike what our previous recording schedule has been, we've now been able to get a few episodes in person. That's been nice. Now, unfortunately, one of our Bean boys, William, wasn't able to make it this week due to extraneous commitments, but we do have our most requested guest of the whole season so far.
Most requested by me.
I was going to say.
Most requested by, yes, Prad. Ajinkya. Now, every time Ajinkya gets on, these debates get very heated. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, but the problem is we don't have Bill, so I think this will be a little bit more relaxed than usual.
It's funny how that works, right? You're a Celtic fan, I'm a Laker fan, and yet it's more heated when Bill is here rather than us.
Bill isn't anyone but LeBron fan.
Bill has been a fan of both the Lakers and the Celtics.
Yes.
And yet he...
Yeah, so for all of you that are not familiar, Ajinkya is a Lakers fan. He's probably the best basketball player of anyone in Australia. And
Definitely not true. Not even... Yeah.
he probably has the game that I've seen that is that is the closest thing to Kobe since Kobe.
Is it because I missed so many shots?
Nah, it's because he got no handles.
That's true. Oh, Kobe had a handle. He had
It was a little bit
He
janky.
crossed dudes up.
Yeah,
He did what he could.
he had that
No
feet
Kyrie
work. He had that feet work, though.
he had that feet work and that
That's
fadeaway.
all you need, man. Don't need a handle. But
Ajinkya
yeah,
does take a lot of fadeaways though.
unnecessarily. Yeah.
Nah, I would say it's highly necessary.
Just for fun. But yeah. No, it's good to be on, boys. Nice to see you boys in person as well. It's obviously been a bit lonely, just sitting at home.
Yeah, what have you been up to during lockdown?
Honestly, not much. I've been in my final semester of uni, so in the middle of exam period now. But I've only had 2 units, so it's not not too intense. Just missing basketball a lot. missing playing basketball with you boys. And
The government did say, we could get back into it as of this as of the 22nd, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then updating cases and
had a lot
it's
of-
like probably not, especially since Hoops would have been Hoops is our local
yeah. So I think Hoops is open.
it's open, but surely it's like booked out.
Yeah, but
Yeah, you can't scrimmage. Like,
and quite honestly, I would rather not play basketball than play basketball at Hoops.
yeah. Oh,
is.
yeah. 100%. Yeah. 100%. More dead spots than... Look, I know Hoops isn't going to sponsor this podcast, so I can say whatever we want, right? But you got to fix it, man. Like, if you guys are listening, it's
do
impossible.
something about the dead spot. You can't dribble the basketball.
It's still impossible. Like, for a man like Karan, it's painful. Please fix it.
You can't do one of the 3 most important things of the game. You can't dribble the basketball there.
Well, that's the thing. It's
All the other 2 important things.
that's why I don't understand why it's a problem for you.
Oh, like the occasional time I dribble. I lose the ball. I lose it. I lose control.
Yeah, but Ajinkya dominates at Hoops though.
Yeah, exactly.
Because no one else can dribble.
Guys, I hope none of you ever watch me play. Like, I just want to say this.
Check the tape.
I hope all of you get the opportunity to watch Ajinkya play at least once.
It's just Karan.
When he's on
Literally just Karan.
when he's on fire, there's nothing else like it. Fadeaways,
You guys need to watch Charmer play.
fadeaways, threes, layups, when you want it, how you want it.
I think you're just being unfair to Charmer because he hasn't been on the podcast yet. I think like he's unequivocally
The best 3-point shooter.
the best player I've ever seen. I've seen Ben Simmons play live. I'll take Charmer. Charmer's made more threes in a span of like
Charmer might
minutes than
Charmer
Ben
might
Simmons
fit better next to Embiid than
100%. Charmer on the Sixers would make them contenders. You can take Ben Simmons out. No, I genuinely believe this. Like, it's not even a hot take. I know we're early in the podcast, but let me get that in there. I have no doubt in my mind.
What if they got back Landry Shamet though?
Oh no, he's as Rahul would say, he's an MF. Like, that's,
yeah, you can't get rid of Landry
Yeah.
Shamet.
So today's episode is not sponsored by anyone, but we do have plans to talk about the man who's just retired, half man, half amazing, Vince Carter.
I mean the half man that's just retired.
Sorry?
The half man that's just retired. The other half is amazing.
Oh, okay, true, fine, yeah. You confused me greatly there. But to start the episode, we'll just do a bit of quick news, obviously related to the NBA's return schedule, Trae Young, the amount of tests going around. There'll be a bit of trivia, and then we'll jump into Vince Carter after that. So to get things started, guys, NBA tested basically all the players that would be returned. Basically all the players, 302 players tested, including Nikola Jokic, Willie Cauley-Stein. No, Willie Cauley-Stein wasn't positive, but he pulled out.
Right.
Avery Bradley's pulled out. And a couple of players have also tested positive. 16 out of 302 tested positive. Do you guys reckon the NBA will like continue, especially given Florida's situation with the full return?
All right, so just right off the bat, for all our regular Beancast listeners, I don't know how the Lakers are going to go without all NBA first defense team Avery Bradley.
Look, they're absolutely
That's a huge out. That's a huge out right there.
Did you hear Magic Johnson talking about it?
Yes.
Magic Johnson. It will be hard for the Lakers to win a championship if they don't have Avery Bradley.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big out for the Lakers.
Look, Magic Johnson got the Lakers LeBron. I think I can trust his analysis.
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to say anything about Magic Johnson. He's easily the worst NBA president I've ever seen. No, I'm joking. I love Magic.
He's the best Twitter personality in the NBA, though.
Ooh, yeah. Maybe.
SAS Burner.
No, but SAS Burner wasn't in the league, though.
True.
That's true.
It's just a burner account of a former D2 basketball player.
Harsh.
I think Young Thomas' account is easily the best.
Hey, we need to get Young Thomas' account some traffic. What's his Twitter handle?
It's
Young
private.
Toma.
It's Young Toma, yeah. At Young Toma. But I'm pretty sure it's private, so
Hey,
you guys will have to
Toma.
follow to...
Hey, Toma, if you're listening to this, you are doing the world a disservice by having your account on
take it
private.
off private, bro. Please.
In other news, obviously, yeah, the NBA they've released the schedule going forwards for all the teams. We'll get into like how our predictions for what teams will be making the playoffs, what teams weren't a bit later. Do you guys have any quick thoughts you want to get off about that?
Well, about you asked about the return just before, and do you think it will go ahead? I think it's still very risky. Like, I know people are saying, they're going to be inside a closed space and they're going to regulate all the players.
Which is not necessarily the best thing to do, by the way.
Yeah, well, that too. But the other thing is it's so difficult to do that. Like, I don't think it's that practical. I think what they expected was by the end of July, cases would have decreased. And like, if players were tested positive, they'd be immune to it afterwards. But I think it's going to be cases aren't decreasing at all. And as you said, Florida's a hotspot.
They're posting actually record case numbers in Florida.
There you go. So,
And not the good kind of record.
Is a new record.
Not the good record either.
And you look back to when the NBA stopped altogether, and it was like Rudy Gobert showing some symptoms, and instantly, like within the hour, the NBA was cancelled. And now you're looking at them, and they're in such a rush to sort of get back.
Yeah,
it's just making you wonder, like, what's going behind this decision making? What's so different now?
I think
Kyrie was right.
I think a little bit is to do with the financial implications of not finishing the season.
Right.
Because what's going to happen is the cap, because every single season the cap goes up, right?
Yeah.
And this is due to the league growing in size and the revenue increases.
Yeah.
So if we lose that massive slate of games there with no playoffs as well, and this was probably, I think it was geared to be one of the best playoff series in at least recent times because of at least how even the talent spread is compared to how it's been like the past
for sure,
5-10 years.
Yeah.
Like there's feasibly, I think, 4-5 teams that I could see that could potentially win the championship, which it's been a long time since I can say that. And I think that's why this has been one of the more interesting seasons of recent times.
Yeah.
So I think the league, they have taken that into account, and then also the fact that if they don't have the playoffs, which is when they get the most viewership, like the financial implications for the next season is going to be crazy because the teams aren't going to be able to spend as much money. It affects the free agent class, and then going forward, how it's going to be harder to structure contracts as well.
Right. What happens though? Like they do start, and then there's an outbreak again.
Yeah.
At that point, you just stop again. Like, is it worth?
Yeah,
especially given that they're playing in Florida. I mean, I don't know the full details, but like, imagine all the staff that are coming in.
It's not just players.
There's so many people that that have to come in, and that even if they're tested every single day, it's like they go home, they come back, or they're coming from home to start working there. That like it takes so long to be able to detect a case that it's so easy for a breakout to happen, given how many people will be necessary for the work that's going to go on there. I feel like, especially since given what the NBA stands for and all the protests going on and everything, I feel like Kyrie's point about the NBA being a distraction and from what it needs to be focused on right now will be taken into more consideration, and we may not get the NBA back for multiple reasons. Coronavirus is one of them.
Yeah, and I think that I think we've discussed this last episode. I don't think Kyrie was speaking just for himself when he said that he thinks that playing in the NBA would be a distraction. I think because Kyrie is the highest profile contrarian in the NBA, I think he was speaking also on behalf of the other people that felt this way.
Yeah.
So I think there might be a few other people to pull out. I think there's going to be a few people that don't want to play because of the virus. Like Davis Bertans is already sitting out due to injury concerns.
Even one of the on a more significant team, obviously, like I said, Avery Bradley, that and we've joked about his name several times, but Willie Cauley-Stein has pulled out. He's just had a child. And like, there's like, given how many, baby boomers there are in the NBA right now, I'm sure a lot more of these guys will be like, Lonzo, for example, he had his kid a while back. Jason Tatum, and they're like, why would they want to be like completely separated from their families?
The other part of this, I think, I don't know how true this is, but you look at the way an NBA season goes. Usually, like, teams are progressing up to the playoffs, the good teams anyway, and like you become more and more motivated, you become more and more in rhythm, right? And I know people are saying there should be no asterisks over this season because it's like a championship is a championship, but you look at how long they've been out, and it's going to take teams time to get up to standard, And sure, like the playoffs are the most watched, and like it's going to be a very like there's a lot of parity in the league right now, but you really have to look at the quality of play and really wonder, is this the same spectacle that we expected to see as before? And it's definitely not going to be that. And from a fan perspective, sure, we'll tune in because we haven't had anything else to look at. But from an NBA quality perspective, the product you put out has to have a certain level of quality. Right?
Yeah,
and,
agreed.
Players aren't comfortable. You're jumping through a million hoops just for the league to get started. You're starting to wonder, is this really going to be worth it?
And also, just with the bubble, how are they going to actually police this? Like, how are they going to keep external parties from coming into the bubble?
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. You think James Harden and J.R. Smith are going to be chilling in the bubble on their own for 3 months?
Oh, that'll be rough, hey? Since they're not really allowed their family as well.
No.
I think they were counting on James Harden not showing up to the playoffs again. I think that's what they were counting.
I think they were counting on a quick exit.
Yeah.
If he makes the finals, I think there's going to be a couple of COVID outbreaks. Which may or may not be related.
I mean, there's not much other news around it. There's Sam Amick reported that the good Amick reported that 8 of the 8 non-playoff teams are trying to get a sort of televised a practice facility for them, so that we would be able to watch them practice and have their training sessions and like games between them as practice games, which I think is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I want to see some Hunger Games style or the first overall pick among the 8 teams.
I don't think it's related to the first pick at all.
No, I know it's not, but that'd be pretty cool. I'd actually watch that. Like, can you imagine the Hornets actually trying to win games?
Hey man, I have a soft spot for the Hornets this season.
Yes, you do.
Like, I watched because of Terry Rozier because he was on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
And then Devontae Graham, man, like he was like a poor version of Steph Curry, but man, like, he man can play. Like,
he is.
They weren't as bad as I thought they would be. Like,
he is Terry Rozier that can pass.
He was such a confusing player because his first year, his 3-point shooting was god awful.
Yeah.
Second year, his 3-point shooting is great. He can't make his normal field goals.
No, but he adds value as a passer.
He does. He does. He does a lot for the team.
For a team that has nothing, he provides a lot.
I mean, that was very, very minor thing or all-star consideration for the guy. He was putting up 21 and 7.
Yeah, at one point. Yeah. In a week.
That's basically D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, and also like Trae Young managed to make it on the All-Star team, so the bar's not set too high.
Yeah, I mean the worst team in the NBA, and you managed to make the All-Star team
over Bradley Beal. Shout out Trae Young.
Or even Avery Bradley.
That's crazy.
The defense that he provides, I can't believe that they snubbed him. Anyway,
Avery Bradley's offense is about equivalent to Trae Young's defense, though.
Fantastic. Look, we have a bit of quick trivia for you guys, and then we'll jump into a break, and then we'll get into the main topic for the episode. Yeah. In 2016, there were 4 players in the NBA named Nikola.
Okay.
Can you name them?
2016.
2016.
So there was Jokic and Mirotic.
Yep. Pekovic. I'm surprised.
Oh, Vucevic.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice and easy.
Yeah.
Someone might cheat and say Batum is one of them, but he was Nicholas.
Oh, there's also Nicolo Melli from the Pelicans as well.
But he was a
That's now.
Nikolai, yeah? That's
He's
not Nikolai with a K.
he's Nicolo.
Okay.
Oh, he's Nicolo. Wow.
If you want to cheat and you can add those like Nicholas
Yeah.
Batum and Nicole. It's surprising how common a name it is. Like, there's less.
It's pretty common in Eastern Europe, yeah.
There's less of other names in the NBA.
No, but you know what's crazy though? I think all of these Nikola are big men. So you've got Jokic, Mirotic,
True.
Pekovic, and Vucevic.
Yeah.
The smallest Nikola is Mirotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like power forward, 6'10", something. Crazy.
No, yeah, it's a fairly common Eastern European name, and
What happened to
a lot of these
Pekovic?
players are Eastern European. Injuries.
And then he's probably signed international.
I heard he got a crazy offer from the mob to act as protection. Can you imagine pulling up? Can you imagine pulling up to a deal and then you see Nikola Pekovic as the muscle?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that would be
I
rough.
don't know who it was. I saw something. The only reason I remembered his name, by the way, is because of this. I saw some player either tweet or say something that Pekovic was the strongest player that he ever saw in the NBA.
Really?
Yeah, he's a freak,
I don't know
man.
who said it. I can't remember now.
He's a
but,
big unit.
This was only recent. This was like 2 days
100% a
ago.
unit.
He's a big, scary man.
Yeah. For those Wolves teams.
All right,
wasn't-
so
He was pretty
He's a
good
good player. He's
Yeah,
2010,
not
20 and 10.
Yeah.
So just quickly, Pekovic weighed 139 kilos.
Bruh.
That is a very
Dude.
large human being. Holy shit.
It's insane.
Can you imagine just trying to back him down in the post?
I mean,
Can you imagine him trying to back you down in the post?
Yeah, I think that's the bigger worry. I think that's it. And he was skilled. Like, he wasn't like he wasn't
he was skilled, but he was also sort of really, really slow. So
Yeah,
it wasn't,
yeah, I mean,
and
that comes
given
with
the
the size.
timing of his appearance in the NBA, the NBA was transitioning towards pace and 3-point shooting. He quickly fell off as a usage player.
He would have been like in the early 2000s, late 90s, like a Greg Ostertag, Bryant Reeves type operator.
Dude, he only weighed 4 kilos less than Yao Ming.
Damn. Yao was like 7'6", 7'7".
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Yao didn't look big. Like, he was obviously big, but like size-wise.
Yeah.
All right, so now
He looked a bit skinny, but yeah.
So now imagine this dude, like, forget the NBA, because you know how you do all that cardio when you're playing basketball. It's really hard to gain weight. So now imagine this guy without the cardio acting as a personal bodyguard for a mobster. This motherfucker weigh like 180 kilos.
I don't know if you were joking, but I totally believe it.
Quran!
Like,
Language!
Yeah, just beep that. Yeah, just bleep that.
All right, we'll take a short break here and then we'll hop back in for Vince Carter. We'll see you in a bit, guys.
Yeah, just bleep that, dude.
All right, so we're back, and Vince Carter just like within this week, by the time we release this, about a week ago, announced his retirement from the NBA. He played his last game just on the same day that the NBA stopped on March 11th, and hit a 3 to finish that one. So that was very nice. But yeah, the man's announced his retirement. He provided us with hella highlights. One of the best dunk contests in history. Of
Probably
NBA.
the best, yeah. Best performance?
Single performance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Best single performance, because
In terms of the actual contest, it wasn't really a contest.
yeah, contest, yeah.
But there's that. Some of the best dunks ever. He was also like, I feel like people say, yeah, he was a great dunker, but a lot of people who followed the NBA recently only know him for being a 3-point shooter every now and then. But like, the man was averaging like 29 points a game in the playoffs against LeBron James. For an entire set of playoffs, he was averaging nearly 30 points a game.
Yeah, I think Vince has a lot of intergenerational appeal because he came into the league in 1998, and then he was a very good player until quite late into his career when he transitioned into a backup. Like, he was still scoring like 20 points a game in 2008.
Yep.
Oh, like even up until like 2010, he was like 15, 16 points.
Yeah, it was
per
only
game.
when he was
Yeah.
with Dallas that he switched to being a 6th man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
And then he hit a game winner for Dallas too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in Sacramento, he had game-winning alley-oop assist. Oh, was it Sacramento or no? I think it was with Atlanta, maybe.
No, he's had several highlight plays
Yeah,
even
yeah.
towards like the tail end of his career.
But to start things off, guys, the name Half Man, Half Amazing how does that rank for you as an NBA nickname? Is it one of the best? Or actually, between Half Man, Half Amazing and Vinsanity, which one's the better nickname to you?
All right, so as a Nas fan, I have to give it to Half Man, Half Amazing.
I was literally just thinking that. I was like, you're gonna bring this up, but yeah.
As a Nas fan, I got to do it, and I know you are too.
Yeah, great nickname, obviously, but not the first place I heard it. It was through Nas.
Yeah, and I think Vince. I'm just trying to think. Would Vince have been the first time I actually heard the nickname, or would Nas have been the first time I actually heard the nickname? I know Nas started calling himself Half Man, Half Amazing before Vince, though.
Yeah,
because it was from like Illmatic, 1994.
Yeah, I remember the.
Yeah, so it was
like an Afrocentric Asian half man.
So like 4 years before.
Yeah.
But like still, Vince Carter he's probably he's made that
completely owned it as like watching him play was literally that. It was like obviously watching highlights because I never saw him live, but it was. You know when you watch a player and you know that they're so different to everyone else around them, and when he used to dunk, it was like that. It was like no one dunks like this guy can.
Yeah, it's like It's like watching a talented Derrick Jones Jr.
I don't know if we can put him in the same category.
Would that be?
No, it's like the dude just flies. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like in terms of athletic ability, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but it's just like the fluidity as well. Like on the those 360 dunks, like between the legs 360 dunks. It's just like people have tried to replicate that. When you watch Vince do it on like that crappy early 2000s,
video quality,
SD video quality, and it's still like, man, like the fact that a person can do that is just like,
and so smoothly as well.
Yeah.
Like I've seen Paul George do it, and it looks very janky.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like it feels like he's twisting his body to just move around with.
Yeah, whereas for Vince, it's like aerial ballet.
Yeah,
it's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah.
Beautiful way to describe.
Yeah, I mean, just go like Paul George isn't a bad athlete. He's a great athlete.
He's an incredible athlete.
The fact that it's not that smooth for him just tells you what Vince was able to do. Like, and how difficult it was, sort of thing. I think the closest I think, like in terms of like that level of fluidity, is Zach LaVine to me now. Is like when he dunks, it just looks effortless.
It just looks
like
easy.
He still puts it down like.
Yeah.
You can talk more about Zach LaVine if you want because I love that guy.
Yeah, of course.
Also, again, another similar question. Oh well, for me, by the way, I prefer Half Man, Half Amazing as well. That's the name that I hear more. I feel like I did hear Vinsanity because of Linsanity every now and then. Like, oh, what about this one? What about that one?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, whenever he threw down a dunk, it was Half Man, Half Amazing. That's when you hear.
And it's also because like it was so late in his career that he was doing it as well, where you were just like, wow, this man is in his very late 30s,
42 years old,
and he's still throwing down in-game dunks.
Yeah. What about the handlebar celebration?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I rate that.
I rate that. Yeah,
that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to like I don't know, LeBron doing the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know how that became iconic. I think the only reason that became big was because it's LeBron, and no one still knows what it means.
Okay, compare it to a couple of the other like
I know what it means.
iconic celebrations, though, like the chest slapping or like MJ's shrug, because a couple of people
come on, bro.
MJ's shrug the same way. You've seen it more recently as well. A lot of people are trying to replicate Vince Carter's handlebars.
Brother, you cannot get more iconic than the shrug, though.
No, yeah, 100%. But like, would it be a close number 2, or would there? Or can you think of another celebration that's replicated as much as well?
Top 5, top 10, maybe. I can't put it in like the same category as the shrug. Like the shrug is iconic.
It's a very old head take from you, Karan. I agree. I mean,
I don't think it's an old head take because I didn't even see this live.
Yeah.
And I've seen the shrug so much that I know how important it is.
The shrug with the same level of impact. Anyway, I think what Prad's getting at is that like it's like paying homage to the greatest dunker ever. Every time you make a dunk and you do that, it's like people are going to keep doing that. People are going to remember Vince for this. Like, and it just goes to show, like we started talking about him, and the first thing we can talk about is his dunks. Like that's what he's going to be remembered for. Yeah. Which, to be fair to his career, playing 22 years, he wasn't just a dunker. Like he played on some very good teams. He transitioned into a great role player.
I mean, dude, you're not dropping 27 points a game if you're just a dunker.
Yeah, 100%.
To me, the shrug is like an insult if you do it. Like,
yeah, it's cold.
Yeah, but whereas the handlebars is like, shit, I just threw down an amazing dunk. Like, I got to celebrate that.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
But like, for example, here's an iconic one for me. J.R. Smith. Wind him up. Did you guys see that?
Yeah. Oh, nah.
But that one was like just that one moment that was so good.
Yeah.
Is this a 3-pointer he hit?
Yeah.
Nah, Nick Young turning around before as well.
Okay, but that was a miss
Yeah,
highlight.
that's a miss highlight. Yeah.
That's still an iconic NBA
I've done the
moment. though.
J.R. Smith like
Same.
hundreds of times, I reckon. Like,
Oh, but
I
then
think we were
actually
in
no
school
wait.
when that happened. It was like
The Gilbert Arenas, which is where he
Ooh.
actually hit the shot.
Yeah.
The Nick Young, but you make the shot.
Oh yeah.
This is a bit of story time. In high school, we had the 3-point competitions.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
I used that celebration.
Damn.
Brother, Praddy branked in a 3-pointer from the top of the backboard.
Wow.
I have never seen such shenanigans in my
Wow.
life.
Damn, how did I miss this? This is
This was cross country when we were in year 12.
I'll put it this way.
Yeah.
Neum and Sanjeev didn't compete.
Neum competed.
Yeah,
I
but
beat
Sanjeev
him.
wouldn't have won anyway.
Did Neum
He can't
compete?
shoot.
I beat him.
Oh, okay, there you go. So
And Sanjeev wouldn't have won. Like he wouldn't. He can't shoot. Let's just. I hope you're listening, Sanjeev. But you can't shoot. Let's just. No need to give him any respect here. Like
yeah, he's a bit more of a playmaker. But yeah, Sanjeev was cold though.
exclusive passer. That's what. That's what.
Ben Simmons.
So imagine if you can merge. Imagine if you
Avery
could.
Bradley.
Imagine if you can merge Ajinkya's 3-level scoring ability with Sanjev's playmaking ability. You'd get the ultimate basketball player.
That's fine. I don't want to be on the same team as him. It's fine. This is all coming from not coming to basketball, by the way. Anyways, we're getting sidetracked. But
All right, okay. This is again a more memorable one. What is his best dunk to you?
oh wow.
What was his best dunk?
Honeypot.
Obviously, everyone remembers him, ending a Frenchman's career.
Okay.
And then doing it again.
All right. So that we're just going to leave that out of consideration because if
Yeah. How do you?
I'm not even going to talk about that because I think that is the most iconic dunk ever, and I don't think that you can top that.
Mm-hmm.
So, barring that, I think it's got to be the honeypot dunk where he throws it down with his
And
elbow.
sticks his hand, arm into the cookie jar.
Yeah. To me, it's probably the 360 between the legs in the dunk contest.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah.
to me was like.
That dunk contest was, yeah.
No,
I mean,
but see-
all of those dunks were amazing.
Like the thing is though, with the 360 between the legs, even Jason Richardson did that, and it looked pretty good.
But who did it first? Like.
Yeah, it was Vince, but
it's
then
sort of like.
But then at least Jason Richardson could pull it off. It took Blake Griffin to do the honeypot properly next, which is crazy because Blake is a big man.
Yeah.
He's 6'10".
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, how can you go wrong? Like between these dunk contest dunks and the Olympic dunk, I think the Olympic dunk is just like you ask anyone, and I think everyone knows that dunk, but not everyone watches the Olympics. People rarely follow. What was that? 2004.
What is?
Oh, no. Okay, wait. Let's get something straight here. People rarely follow Olympic basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. But still, people know that dunk. It just goes to show how like iconic that dunk is. That's how much it gets shown.
It also actually ended Frederick Weiss's career.
Sure. I mean,
No,
I don't know who that is.
yeah, that
What he did
exactly.
since then.
So
Yeah.
wait, hold on. I'm gonna just do some background real quick. But I'm pretty sure Frederick Weiss was actually drafted by an NBA team, but he never played.
Wow.
Pretty much on the back of that.
Yeah.
For me, the dunks that he was making with the Toronto Raptors and at the start of his career were pretty fun because he was just going all out at that point. It was just like, I can throw down every single time I come down and I'm going to do it. He was doing, that between the legs, he was doing that in game. But to me, just because of the history of it, him dunking on Rudy Gobert just was a lot of fun. He's near the end of his career.
Yeah.
He's like literally 40 years old. And he's posterizing a Frenchman towards the end of his career. It's like, start of his career, he ends one Frenchman's career. End of his career, he doesn't end Rudy Gobert's career. But
It's a very nice bookend.
It is.
Also, it's always fun to watch Rudy Gobert get dunked on.
Yeah. Especially because of how much he fouls when he tries to block.
Yeah,
There's a lot of this
and also
business going
like he's so big that if you can dunk on him,
Yeah, that too. Okay, his career had a lot of ups and downs. What was the best year of his career?
probably that year that he.
I assume it was one with the Nets. Was it a playoff run with the Nets?
Yeah.
Was that
Wasn't he-
without him?
Wasn't he in the? Didn't he make the finals with the Nets?
No, I don't think he was there on that team. I think he was there after that. I think he was with the Raptors until 2004.
Yeah, and he was trying to get off the Raptors onto the Nets.
And we'll talk about that leaving a bit in a bit as well. I've got a bit to say about that. I think his best year would have either been when he first put the Raptors on the map by taking them to the playoffs and taking them to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay, yeah.
Right, because that was in like his first or second year.
Yeah,
right.
I think it was it was the third year, wasn't it?
Third year?
Yeah.
Was it the year he dropped? Was it the year he dropped 27?
I think so. Or it might have been 25. That one was pretty significant to me just because, like, you know, he stepped into the league. He's in a team that struggled to make the playoffs for its first 3 years. Like, the team had just been made at that point. And he's taken them in their first playoff appearance, first playoff win, second playoff win, Eastern Conference Finals.
Wow.
Right, that's pretty impressive to me. The other one would have been, against when they were with the New Jersey Nets. He's gone against the Miami Heat. Eventually, they've played 11 games in the playoffs, and he averages 29.7 for that playoff series.
Yeah.
For like the entire playoffs that year.
And they lost to, was that 2006 where they lost to the championship?
Yeah.
Same thing in 2001. Was it the Sixers that they lost to in the Eastern Conference Finals? I think it was, right?
Pistons? Oh no, yeah.
I think it was the Sixers against Iverson. So
Yes,
just one step away from
he was always so close
making the finals. Pretty incredible. I mean, what you bring up with the Raptors is like he's become so like synonymous with the Raptors, even
though he only spent like the first few years of his career there. Yeah,
like getting drafted there, he really put that team on the like the way people talk about it now is like the way Drake talks about him now. And Drake is Toronto basically, but for like everyone in that period, it became
Nav in Shambles.
This like Canadian team. Like he really, sorry, what'd you say?
Nav in Shambles.
Yeah. But like just to have a new team and to have an icon player like that. And the thing is, at that point, he wasn't just an icon player for the Raptors.
He was an iconic NBA player.
An NBA player, exactly, which is pretty significant. And you look at how many of those we have now, and it's fairly spread out now. But back then, it was like it was the Lakers. It was like a few iconic teams, and to have a team come out of nowhere, and for a player to do that is pretty damn incredible.
Exactly. Vince's pop culture appeal around the time was crazy, and then also if he stuck around on that Raptors team, I would have loved to see what him and T-Mac could have done.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they dealt T-Mac before Vince left. Yeah,
so imagine if they all just stuck together.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. This is a lot of people say immediately, yes, he's making it Hall of Famer or no?
I think yes, but I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think it'll be a while before he gets there, just because, first of all, I feel like there's players with more achievements still not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a backlog.
And, I mean, obviously, playing 22 years, that in itself is quite an achievement. And he was very good for a lot of them. The dunk contest, putting the Raptors on the map and everything. But just looking at his, career, awards, 8-time NBA All-Star, All-NBA Second Team, All-NBA Third Team, NBA Rookie of the Year, NBA.
Yeah, it's like he hasn't made a first team, doesn't have an MVP,
never a scoring champion,
not a scoring title, never made an All-Defense team. Yeah, like I think it's a little bit hard to say that Vince should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I probably don't think he is, but then he will definitely make the Hall of Fame.
He'll be there.
There's a lot of like the NBA Hall of Fame is fairly easy to make compared to like other sports Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I think if there was ever a player who got into the whole Hall of Fame from like their cultural impact,
it'd be Vince.
Like he would be first pick. I think him and Allen Iverson.
Yeah,
but I think
like AI won an MVP.
And made the finals.
Yeah,
and he made it to the finals. Yeah, but
with a pretty sorry team.
Oh my goodness, we'll talk about him eventually.
But I think definitely Hall of Famer. I mean, he scored 26,000 NBA points.
Yeah,
he is still to this day the Toronto Raptors' leading scorer.
That's
which is pretty wild.
Wow.
Bit of an indictment on the Raptors too. It's pretty wild. And also, he is the second highest scoring shooting guard since Reggie Miller to never win a ring.
Oh wow,
that's really interesting.
Okay, yeah.
That puts him up there,
like
right?
D Wade, yeah.
Iverson's
point guard.
He's like a shooting guard, point guard.
Oh, did you say? Oh, okay, high scoring shooting guard.
Yeah, high scoring shooting guard.
Yeah. Wow.
Here's one that's kind of interesting, just because he bounced around a lot. Does his jersey get retired anywhere? There's a bit of I
think it has to be Toronto, man.
But that's the thing. There's a lot of like. Even in his last game there, on their 20th anniversary, it wasn't their last game. On his 20th anniversary, I think they gave him a video tribute at some point as well this year. even in all of those, there's always been some amount of booing towards him.
Yeah, I think the way that he left the team probably was a little bit distasteful. Just like he didn't treat the Raptors with the respect that they probably deserved. It's just a matter of professionalism, I reckon.
To me, I guess we can talk about that leaving now, because to me, the team had just, said, okay, T-Mac we're dealing T-Mac somewhere. Okay, it's just Vince Carter now. He's leading the team. Okay, so we're now going to rebuild the team. We're going to get Julius Erving as the GM, they told him, apparently. And then it turns out he wasn't even in the plans.
Yeah, this has happened before, but then
Right.
how many players would go out and try to sabotage their team by yelling out their team's plays to the other team?
Well, yeah, because they said, yes, we're going to make a competitive team for you.
Yeah.
And then they go ahead and, make all the decisions that don't make a competitive team. It's
I definitely think there were better ways to express.
I can
that you weren't happy with
understand why he would have been angry, but I also think that there are much less destructive ways that he could have done so. And I can definitely see why, from the fans' perspective, they harbor a bit of ill will.
Fans don't know any of this. Fans just
Exactly.
play on the court, and they think this guy was averaging 27 the year before.
Yeah, like you
he's-
only find out like
it's
4 or 5 years later.
I mean, he carried a sorry Raptors team into the Eastern Conference Finals. He did a lot for that team.
Yeah, but then
Sport is all. What have you done for me recently, though? Like,
all right. So when LeBron left the Cavs the first time, Dan Gilbert trashed him. He never trashed the Cavs afterwards. At least not in
but
public.
also he
They wasted it. I would argue that LeBron's first few years in the NBA was probably the worst example of a wasted prime I've ever seen.
Okay, but how is that?
So they did the same thing. LeBron handled himself much better than Vince Carter did, at least in my opinion.
Free agency was so much more powerful then.
What do you mean? I'd argue the players have never had more power than now. And
but
power's only
comparing
increased.
LeBron's when LeBron left Cleveland to when Vince Carter was trying to get out of Toronto after he had signed a deal he signed a deal with them to extend his contract, and they said, yes, we're going to make you a competitive team, and then they go ahead and fire their entire executive staff.
Yeah, but then who knows what their reasons were for doing that? There's always two sides to the story.
Yeah, but excuse me, looking at a player, can you looking at it from a player's perspective, can you sit there and tell me, wow, our team just fired all of our executives. This is a team that's going to go in the right direction.
I think
Yeah, but then
I understand.
I can understand where you're coming from, but then I also think that the way that Vince went about it was not the best way to do it. And I think that if you're going to do that, you have to expect that you're going to alienate the fans and the front office.
Yeah. No, I agree with that for sure. I don't think it's justified to behave that way.
Are you serious?
But I think like
What?
This has happened to so many players.
What? Yeah, getting
in league
through
history.
Okay, that's fine, but that's why I'm saying I don't think his jersey gets retired there. But I think
that's fair enough. But then I think if he is to get his jersey retired, it has to be in Toronto. That's like the only place I could see it happening.
It would be, yeah.
I see it, but I don't see him leaving as like I get the fan hate if you want to be a unreasonable fan, sure. But at the same time,
I don't think it's unreasonable.
I think it's unreasonable. He put the team on the map. Like, no one cares about the Toronto Raptors if
the fans support the team. The fans don't support the players.
Okay, well then they should support they can support the team now because they're actually relevant.
I think the
Wait, so what does that have to do with it?
Why are they relevant?
It's not just because of Vince. They just won the NBA championship. That's why they're relevant
were they relevant
now.
for the last 20 years when they weren't achieving?
They weren't.
They
weren't.
They had a very very religious following.
Yeah, in Toronto, where they were the only team in the country,
and they still had
because they're the only NBA team in the country.
There are fans in any city who are fans of another team in another city.
I think they certainly became an iconic team. I think that is obviously to Vince's credit, but I think what the main thing here is that both sides were sort of wrong in the way they dealt with the situation. I think the front office could have been better in communicating with Vince as a star player who has really done everything. You don't have a franchise without this guy. Let's just be honest.
That's true.
But then from Vince's point of view, I think at that point in his career, he was 6 years into the league at that point.
Close to his prime.
He was in his prime, 6 years into the league. I'm saying
would
maturity-wise, there are better ways. At that point,
as an NBA veteran, there's better ways to handle that situation.
Yeah, and
this has happened to a lot of players in the league, throughout the history of the league.
Yeah,
and there's very few players.
I think it's justified for the fans to.
There are very few players that have gone to the lengths that Vince did to sabotage his own team to get out of the team.
I think over time, I think when we're looking at it now, I think it's perfectly fine to say we should be over it by now. You look back and you look at Vince's impact. But I think at that point, if I was a Raptors fan, like right now, if LeBron just started sabotaging the team to leave after my team has just become relevant after years, I would not be happy at all.
Exactly.
And like, I'd hate LeBron. Like it would be like him leaving Cleveland. Maybe not as bad, but it would be bad. Over time, I would realize that, okay, look, this guy would still put my team on the map after like 10 years, whatever. It takes time, basically.
It's been 20. It's been 20 years, man.
Yeah, but then also,
Sorry, 18 years.
now it's fine. Like now he went back and they cheered him and what they gave him a video tribute. And
they also
Even at the
did
start of that,
boo him, though.
they started off by booing him.
But like you can, there's always going to be a section of fans that do that.
and they're going to be the loudest fans.
Yeah, and I also
they're a minority.
But at the end of the day, I think if he is going to get his jersey retired, I think it's going to have to be either there or Brooklyn. I can't see Brooklyn, so I think it's probably going to have to be Toronto.
Yeah. Have the Nets even retired like Jason Kidd's jersey? I don't think they have they?
Let's have a look. I don't know whose jerseys the Nets have retired.
Jason Kidd's jersey been retired anyway yet?
I'd argue it probably should be at
Dallas?
At Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, okay.
I'd say because he took them to 2 NBA finals. They got whooped in both,
Right.
but that's because the team had like him and Kenyon Martin and like Richard Jefferson,
true.
like not like the most amazing team. But no, I think there is definitely a case for Vince Carter's jersey to be retired at Toronto.
Bro, what the hell?
But if he didn't end his career there in that fashion, it would be more.
It would be easier to say that.
It'd be undisputed.
Yeah.
But I think now there's still like.
All right, yeah. So Jason Kidd does have his jersey retired in Brooklyn.
Okay,
yeah.
This is a bit.
Makes sense.
This is weird though. Like they've retired Petrovic, which is understandable, but then they've retired like Buck Williams,
like really
John Williamson,
Yeah.
Julius Irving, which I mean, it kind of makes sense. He won 2 championships for the ABA Nets,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then like Bill
did the Brooklyn Nets,
Melchiorni.
did the Nets as a franchise get to inherit those championships, or did they? I don't see them hanging in the rafters. Those championships.
I can't say that I've actually had a look in the Brooklyn Nets.
Should be, right?
But I think they did. Yeah, they get to keep them. They're
I think
just
all ABA champions.
Okay.
they're just recognized as ABA champ. Like it's split as ABA and NBA. So they've got 0 NBA championships. They got 2 ABA.
Okay.
championships.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on. All right. This is a bit of a sort of trivia thing as well. But can you guys name all the teams he played for?
Oh,
Brother. Okay, the Raptors, the Magic, the Nets, the Kings, the Mavericks, the Hawks, and now I'm blanking.
Suns.
There's one more.
Kings.
No, I've already
He
said
already
Kings.
said
sorry.
Sacramento.
You said the Hawks, didn't he?
Yeah.
You said the Hawks.
How many seasons did he play for the last team?
Basically everywhere. He went after. I think it's after Dallas. Everywhere around. It was just about 1 year.
Wait, did he say the Magic?
So this was after
Magic.
This was after the Mavericks.
Yes.
He said the he said after the
He
Mavericks.
wore 20.
Memphis.
Memphis. That's
Oh,
it. 8
Memphis.
teams.
Yeah. True.
Um.
Wow. Yeah. That's
During that period, he obviously the last few years he was just like a veteran presence on all the teams he went to.
Yeah.
Is there a team you would have liked to see him go to? Like given the timelines of each, like basically every team during through that period.
In his prime, I would have liked to see him I would have liked to see him stick with the Raptors along with T-Mac, because I think that would have been a lot of fun to watch.
I would have liked for him to essentially follow T-Mac to Orlando, if that was possible. Because
I don't think they would have traded both of them though. I don't think they could have traded both of them.
that Orlando team was horrible. Like
Yeah, it was not
it
good.
was horrible. I don't think.
any T-Mac.
No. This was way after.
This was in like
Yeah.
the early 2000s.
Okay,
Shaq was
okay.
long gone.
Yeah.
And
Penny wasn't Penny.
Yeah.
Like I think Penny might not even have been there. I would have liked to see Vince on play next to like Steve Nash. Like you could say that for any player
Yeah,
who dunks,
yeah.
but can you imagine that? Like, can you
Dude,
imagine
can
Steve
you
Nash
imagine
running a break
with Amari and
with
Amari and Vince
like,
Carter?
that would have been insane, and like it would have given him that number one scoring option on the perimeter.
Yeah.
Like they would have won, no doubt in my mind.
Do you
it would
think
have been
that
insane.
a team could win the NBA championship with Vince Carter as the best player?
Vince Carter
At his best, like prime Vince
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
as their
Best is
best
such
player.
this is a whole nother topic, I think. But I think best is such a subjective, like the thing is you talk about floor raisers and ceiling raisers, right?
Yeah.
Like on that team, how can Vince Carter not put that team over the top? You look at what they had and what they were missing. Steve Nash wasn't a scorer. On the perimeter, they had shooters, but not like...
Vince was an elite shooter back then too.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like an off-the-dribble scorer who you could just give the ball to, and it's not all up to like this offense that they've created. Like that's what they really needed to go toe-to-toe with like, teams like the Spurs. Who they just fell short on like at that point, what more can you add to that team? Like Vince would be... but on that team, would he be the best player then? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd be better than Steve Nash.
Right. Okay. I mean, yeah, he was MVP.
Yeah.
But then if you look at the stats, it's like...
Or Amari, for that matter. Amari was nasty back then, dude. He was like a top 10 player.
I don't know. You could make an argument, I think, that Vince was better than Steve Nash from a scoring point of view. But yeah, Steve Nash was that system.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm not a huge fan of Steve Nash winning 2 MVPs, but that's or whatever. Like, that's a whole different topic, which we're in a hypothetical here.
For all of you that are unaware, Jinkia is a Lakers/Kobe fan. So
it's not just that. Like, that is not the only reason.
Anyone noticed that, Karan, especially from the Lakers jumper he's wearing since we're on video now. I don't think anyone noticed since he defended Kyle Kuzma.
Brother,
no one would have been able to tell.
Was that on record?
Brother, we've got some Irish, USA, and Serbian fans.
And do you think they wouldn't have noticed that Jinkia is a Lakers fan and a Kobe fan?
Possible.
Well, I don't look like Kyle Kuzma enough. No.
Your hair's not blonde enough, bro. Not enough tattoos.
I need to dye my hair. No, but I mean, that's a whole... I think... But it's an interesting topic. Like, what really makes a team's player the best player? And, like, there are...
Yeah, is it that they're the number one option? Or is it the best player? What makes them the best player?
It's like the highest impact. It's like, for example, the Warriors, you take Draymond away from that team. They're not as successful, I think.
Yeah, I don't think they win a championship.
There was a genuine argument.
But he's not the best individual player.
I don't think they win a championship without Draymond.
Yeah,
there was a genuine argument for in Steph's in the first championship season. Like Steph is the best player on the team, but is he the most important player on the team?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then in the later championships, KD is the best player on the team. Is he the most valuable player on the team?
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion. But
we've gone on a huge tangent.
That's what this is all about.
No, but so Vince Carter, I think you'd have to get him in his prime and put him on a contending team. But yeah, I would agree that it is possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of teams in that era that like.
I think he would have been an absolute nightmare on the 7 Seconds or Less Suns.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that team is just tailor made for him to wreak havoc on the break and whatnot. But I'm trying to think of teams that are like played at a slower pace because Vince was still like a half court.
He was a good scorer, yeah.
He was a good scorer. Like it's not that he just had to be on his team just to like dunk his. I'm just saying that from like a fan point of view.
Yeah,
it would have been great to watch him. But I'm trying to think of teams in that era that like he could have, like even that Nets team. Like, did they do well? Like, I mean,
they went to the
finals, but it wasn't with Vince.
No, it wasn't with him. But
they did well, and he played well with Jason Kidd too.
Yeah,
I think he had another like 27 point per game season with the Nets.
It's hard to judge a play like in that era, right? Because that era had so many like great teams and great players. Like that was sort of like there were like teams that stayed together as well. Like you look at the Spurs teams, you look at the Suns teams, you look at the Lakers teams. Like all of these teams stuck together, and it wasn't like the NBA now where it's sort of more fluid. Where a player like Vince might come through and he signs for a year somewhere else, and that team just becomes instantly like that was sort of
How do you think he would have done in like the Eastern Conference or the Eastern Conference Final Celtics with Antoine Walker and Paul Pierce?
What year was this?
2004.
2004. And they lost to the Pistons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about that Celtic team.
Nah, so like Vince definitely would have been the best player on that team at that point.
Okay. Was Paul Pierce not Paul Pierce?
No, he was, but then I think Vince was a bit better.
Actually, that's
a bit better at the time.
Yeah.
That is an interesting question to get to eventually. Like, which player are between... Can you give me like 2 players all time between whom you can rank Vince Carter? Like one player that's directly above him, one player that's directly below him, just to get a general...
I'd say Pierce is above him all time, but yeah.
Because then you're not just looking at skills.
Yeah, but in that year, I probably would have said Vince is better than Pierce.
Yeah, we'll get that. That's an interesting question for like right after this, but...
the Pistons. He would have been the best player on the Pistons.
Yeah, there you go. What I was thinking.
There you go.
Yeah. So I was, I mean...
It would either be that or like the Dallas team that lost to the
I don't know about that. Dirk was an MVP player.
No,
Dirk was an MVP level player.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been
the team that I'm saying the team that lost to the We Believe Warriors.
Oh, Jesus.
Nah.
Oh, you mean like a prime Vince on that team?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm like,
that's interesting.
I think Dirk would still be the best.
That was like
Yeah, he
what?
would
That
still be
was 2013 or 14. 2013 or 14.
no, the We Believe
the
Warriors.
We Believe Warriors shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true. I think that was still Dirk's.
That was like MVP Dirk.
That was
Wasn't it?
MVP Dirk, first
MVP
seed,
Dirk,
and they
2000.
crumbled because Dirk could not. He was
Okay.
essentially not. He had a flaw in his game, which the Warriors were able to
Yeah,
exploit.
sure. And
Yeah.
also, Don Nelson worked for the Mavs the year before, and then he went to the Warriors and he knew their whole game plan.
Yeah, that's
they lost
true.
every game to the Warriors,
Which is why
Yeah.
if you
that was the
randomly
one matchup they didn't want to get. Like that team was perfectly made to beat.
stop Dirk.
Yeah, and then the Mavs would have beaten everyone else. Like
yeah.
it's, I mean, yeah, to put that on Dirk, I have a soft spot
No,
for Dirk.
I'm not
Yeah, you
putting
do.
it on Dirk. I'm saying that team 100% beats the Warriors if they have Vince at that point.
You reckon? Oh,
Like,
I mean, yeah, because
I-
it's Vince. But
Yeah. but also because he plugs he gives them the pace that they need to beat the Warriors there.
Right.
Like they can match the Warriors blow for blow if they have Vince.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
immediately you're adding a perimeter, threat. To,
Yeah.
an inside presence that any team that's going to be
That's true.
That's- yeah,
But like that matchup in particular is solved if they
Yeah.
have Vince.
yeah.
Can you imagine the spacing between Dirk and Vince?
That's why it's
the
an
rest of that Mavericks team.
Would have been nuts. JJ Barea would have wreaked havoc. Not that he wouldn't wreak havoc on any other team, because he's JJ Barea.
The most switchable player of all time.
Yeah. I can't wait till JJ Barea retires and we give him a
All right,
tribute.
this is an
tribute podcast.
It'll just be Bill talking about JJ Barea for an hour.
Like I'll join for sure.
Oh yeah, we'll get you on for that
Yeah,
episode
get
too.
me on for that one.
This is an interesting thing I noticed, but in 2008, Vince and his backcourt partner were the leading scoring backcourt in the league. Do you know who his partner was in 2008?
2008.
Who did he play with?
That would be Nets. It
That would have been on the Nets.
Yeah,
Nets.
he'd be on the Nets.
Not Jason Kidd.
Not Jason
He
Kidd.
was gone by then.
Darren Williams.
Not
No,
Darren Williams.
No,
Jerry,
wait, that
was it
on-
Jerry Stackhouse?
It was one of those three players who, on the Mavericks, had all the same birth dates. You remember that?
Devin Harris.
Devin
Yeah.
Harris.
Yeah,
He contributed to being the leading scoring backcourt in the league.
that's wild.
That's how much did Devin Harris contribute to this?
I have no idea.
Oh no, like he would have had to at least score 20.
Minimum of 20. I didn't know Devin Harris ever
Who
was
had to
that
score
good,
20?
but yeah.
This is my first year. This is like my first or second year of being an NBA fan, but I did not watch other teams' games. Devin Harris was pretty decent back in the day.
He was a good role player wherever he went. I didn't realize he
Yeah,
ever got to 20 or
He
so.
was a good backup point guard.
But
like,
at the
towards
same
end of his
time,
career.
like as a combination, backcourts weren't exactly dominant at that point.
Mm.
True.
Because you would have an individual, like obviously Dwayne Wade was massive at that
Oh
time.
damn! Yeah, he was doing 21 points a game.
Yeah, you would have.
Wow.
That was
Also a huge outlier. His career average is 10 points a game, and he had a season where he dropped 21.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
Literally would have never guessed that.
yeah.
Career,
If you didn't tell.
dude, his career points per game distribution is like this.
It's just like this. It's like- oh, you need video for this joke, which is good. You
Yeah,
got
we
video
do
now.
have video. Yeah,
it's good.
Isn't that crazy? But yeah,
Video for the
Is there-
probability distributions jokes for the
is there
niche crowd.
is there any two players who you can rank directly above and directly below Vince to say whereabouts you would put him?
Right, so Vince, I think, would be in.
Is he top 50 all the time? Like, can we start there?
It's
The man averaged
It's
about close to 20 points a game, over and under for like a good 12 years of his career, I think.
it's hard to go 50 because when you go to like 50, you've still got championship winners, MVPs, like those type of guys.
Yeah.
Defensive player of the years, finals MVPs, even at like 50. I think he'd be closer to like the
Guys who just missed out or something like that.
yeah, I think he'd be like 70 to like in that 70 to 80 range.
Yeah. I mean, it's impossible to. I mean,
Yeah, it's
how
hard
are
to
we
say
gonna?
in terms
we don't
of
know who's in that range.
and,
Like,
and it depends on how you rank it as well, because in terms of cultural impact, he definitely have a lot more than someone like
Dude,
Willis Reed.
he's like top 10 cultural impact.
Yeah.
Vince Carter.
Yeah,
And
but
that's
then
a better question to like.
yeah, but then
you
for
know, like rank them.
yeah, but then okay, so you take someone like Willis Reed for example, he'd probably be in like that 30 to 50 range. But then this dude has 2 championships, an MVP, and
Plus, you have to count the 15 guys on the 50 Celtics who would be between like the 30 and 40 range because they won 10 rings.
it would just be the 60 Celtics.
Like Bob Cousy and his mates. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, questions like this, it's hard to tell, but I think people will remember him like for years and years and years down the track.
Yeah.
I think like people, even players now, when they talk about, you know, their favorite players and stuff, Vince Carter, like it's like Iverson, obviously, you're like,
Yeah, so in terms of like actual just how good they were on the court and nothing else,
yeah.
it like he'd probably be in like the 60s, 70s, 80s in that range there. But then in terms of cultural impact, he'd be very high up.
Yeah.
Easily top 50 in terms of cultural
Okay,
impact.
that's fair.
He's one of those players like, if he won a ring, it would do so much for him.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like it would just be, yeah. It'd be like
And
Iverson.
I think
he's a tier below.
He's a tier below Iverson.
But I think you would love to see him win a ring.
Yeah, he's also like a tier below like that CP3 type player as well. CP3 is like one of the greatest point guards ever, but then he doesn't
to
have
me,
a
CP3,
championship.
Iverson, same sort of. Probably.
actually if CP3 like he has the opportunity, he still has some time and like chance to win a ring.
I just want him to win a ring when he's still good, man.
If he doesn't win a ring, do you think that's a fair area where Vince and CP3 could be ranked? Because
no,
you
I'd still put like CP3 several tiers above Vince.
Several tiers. I think maybe
Yeah, like
2 tiers, maybe. 1 tier. Is CP3 above Allen Iverson?
yes. In my opinion, yes. Even though he
Okay.
doesn't have the individual accolades,
Okay.
like just in terms of the overall impact that this dude had on the court.
Yeah, and Vince
his
is
time
below
playing in the league.
AI,
Yeah.
which is fair. But then how far below, I guess, is the question.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell. I didn't watch Vince in his prime.
Yeah,
But
neither did I.
You look at the numbers, you look at the longevity, you look at wherever he went, you know, he transitioned nicely into being a role player. I think he showed that he can play on good teams, like just didn't win a ring kind of thing. He was a great player. Like
He was,
yeah.
yeah.
While he was in the league. And whenever you're ranking, to me, these rankings just become meaningless because it's sort of like, how do you talk about guys
Yeah.
from 30 years ago?
Yeah.
And like I hold it against him for not having a ring, but then also I think part of it is because a lot of us have never seen like some of these like guys like Willis Reed,
Yeah.
John Havlicek.
Yeah,
like
well,
you have
Impossible to.
like you look at the numbers and the accolades, you probably do have to put them above Vince, but then who knows if they were actually like as players on the court. Since we haven't seen them, we don't actually know if they were better players.
I think skill wise, the one thing you can say is that with increasing time, or maybe I'm wrong with this, I don't know.
You got to scale by era, man.
Yeah, scale by era, but also like skill wise,
Yeah.
over time, the league gets better.
Yeah,
Players
it's like-
become better, and then like a player like Vince Carter really has like the talent of any top 20, like Kawhi Leonard. He has got the talent, like maybe not defensively. I don't know.
It's like
I'm struggling to think of names, but
no, I
what
know
I'm saying?
exactly. I
Like-
know exactly what you mean.
you know
Like
what I'm saying, like it's
like John Havlicek is definitely regarded as an all-time greater player than Dame Lillard. But if you put Dame in the 60s, he'd be
yeah, and then yeah, I don't know.
he'd be like Michael Jordan in the 60s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's always hard to rate players. I think with Vince, you could make a list of like top cultural impact, and he would be pushing like
probably
7, 8. You could say numbers.
he'd be very high.
So high. Like
like that was just around the time the game was getting international as well. Like, you know, we did obviously everyone just watched The Last Dance and how MJ, you know, went to Italy and you know that game. I talked about that as well.
Yeah.
But you know, he went to Italy.
I got another crazy Vince factoid. So after Vince retires, Tyson Chandler will be the only active
saw
player
that
that's
as
played
well.
against MJ.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But what I was saying was that you know,
he's drafted in 2001 or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Wizards.
Yeah, Wizards. Damn.
like he went, you know, MJ went to Paris and played that game, and you know we saw how much of an international impact he had. Like at this, and you know, the next major international thing we've seen after that was Vince dunking over the Frenchman. So like everyone watching anyone watching international basketball seems to know that moment.
Right.
So he gets
what? Because Vince got his, you know what's in a Frenchman's face.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I think the timing was unfortunate just because, MJ is an outlier. You have to say that. But, Vince, if social media was as massive as it is now when, he had been, throwing his nuts in the
Yeah, he'd be like the NBA Zion.
yeah. So he could have had much more of a cultural impact, but he still does get pretty high up because of what he did with what he had.
With the current state of NBA punditry and the fact that Vince probably towards like the start of his career, at least in the Raptors, they weren't like the greatest team in the league. How do you actually think he would have been perceived? Putting up the numbers that he put up on the teams that he was playing on.
Well, the thing is, he was still successful. What do you mean? He took
But then what?
In his first year, like close to his first few years, he took them to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, but then what would the narrative around like Vince be?
See, like probably,
I think it'd be pretty similar to what like how we see Dame.
Yeah, I think so. Dame, that would be accurate. But I think he could also be close to CP3 then. If everywhere he goes, team success and great numbers.
The thing with Dame is, like, Dame's had to play the Warriors team in his prime almost every year.
Yeah, but then I think CP is a bit of a reach because Chris Paul, even now, is viewed as like a top 3 of all time point guard.
Ooh, top 3?
There is a solid argument, and there's a lot of people that argue it.
Like Magic Johnson, John Stockton, Steph Curry, whatever order you want to put them.
Yeah, and then Chris Paul is right there.
Ooh, I don't know.
Steve
Like
Nash.
it's arguable, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pushing it a bit.
I think that's an interesting discussion for another
that's
time.
like,
But then you're putting Chris Paul in a debate with these guys here, whereas Vince is not in that discussion.
He's in the conversation.
Vince is not in that discussion.
Yeah, okay. In that case, yeah.
Even among a position that is significantly less stacked.
Yeah. I think it also comes down to what kind of player you are. I think as a scorer, you're never going to be like, people look at playmakers and they look at, they're making their teammates better. They're putting a whole system together. And you're always going to value that player more than you're going to value a guy like Vince who just scores the ball kind of thing, right? Because that team needs a whole lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
And then, like, the numbers thing is, like, people don't look at it that way anymore. I think people are starting to, like, if you talked about NBA punditry, if that's what you said, people look at, like, these other things.
Narrative.
Well, not even narrative, like, just impact-wise. Just, like, like what Draymond does for his team.
Yeah.
20 years ago, what would people be saying? Like, he was basically like Dennis Rodman, but I didn't think Rodman was getting that kind of...
Rodman's a Hall of Famer.
Well, he wasn't getting that kind of like, this guy's IQ is that high. People just saw him as... But that's because Rodman was Rodman, right?
Yeah, and also Rodman probably wasn't like the passer that Draymond was as well.
Sure, but like impact-wise, definitely there, I think. But I think like now when people look at the game and sort of gets broken down, you're looking at a guy like Draymond and you're understanding the plays he's involved in. Exactly. Like people are breaking that down. This is we're again going on a tangent here, but I think for a guy like Vince in that era, people would have just sort of gone, yeah, he scores the ball well. We're in a league with like these Kobe's, Iversons, ISO scorers. He's in that tier. Like, guys like Kobe looked to Vince Carter and they said, I want to be as good as that guy when they came into the league. Like that's who he was. And
didn't Kobe get into the league before Vince?
No, the league was Vince was drafted in 98.
Yeah, wasn't Kobe drafted in 96?
No, sorry. I'm thinking of high school. He was like when Kobe was in high school.
Yeah.
And Vince came straight into the league. I guess this is a different story. Kobe was like...
Wait, no. They were in the same draft, weren't they?
No.
Oh, was Kobe 96?
Kobe was 96.
Yep.
And then when Vince came into the league...
when he came into the league and Kobe was coming off the bench, he wanted to be...
he was like, I wanted to be like... Because Vince, in his first year, averaged like 18 points a game.
Yeah.
Like 18...
It was 18.
20 points a game. Yeah, something like that. And he was good immediately. Like everyone was like, we got another MJ prototype here.
Yeah.
You go like mid-range scorer, whatever, good shooter, athletic and whatnot.
Athletic is,
Freak, yes.
I don't know. It's an interesting discussion. I think how media views players over time.
If we could take like a time machine and look at how he was ranked back then based on the players, how they were playing at that time as well, that would be very interesting.
He was definitely considered in that tier.
Yeah.
It's like the perception of Dirk where he was like, they thought he was a choker until he won that ring against LeBron.
Yeah.
Now people are putting him in like the top 20 of all time.
Yeah. Yeah. But like he disproved the thing. You know, he disproved the claims against him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a guy like Vince ever really did he do that? Like, what were the claims against him? We don't really know. I guess.
Yeah, we went around at the time.
We went around, but it would be interesting. I think it's a good question to look at. We need someone much older than we are.
What?
I know
So
what
you?
you're gonna say.
I had to do it.
I love that up for you, just beautifully.
I had to do it.
All right. Do you guys have any any more points about Vince? Because I'm all out of questions.
No,
man.
I think we've really covered it. I think he was a great player. I think his impact on the game is going to be tangible for a very long time. Like, I think, like, we still view MJ's dunk contests even like 30 years later. I think Vince is just going to be another one of those guys.
Yeah.
But then I hope that people remember him as more than a dunker because he really was.
He transitioned his game so nicely.
I think they will, man. I think, like, you look at our era, we see him as like high impact role player off the bench who's like, you know, on those Dallas teams, it was really good.
Yeah.
I think people definitely will. And I think, like, something has to be said about how gracefully he became a 3-point threat, a great 3-point threat.
He was a
like
good
a
3-point
veteran.
shooter early in his career.
Earlier
in his career as well.
But like later on, that became his role, and he took it so well. For a guy to do that, like, something to be said about that as well. So a lot of respect to him, and I think the league will miss him, especially, like, you know, whenever a guy like him retires. You know, those younger players, they lose like a mentor and stuff. I'm sure the guys on the Hawks really liked having him around. He learned a lot. Like Trey probably learned a lot from.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see Trey throw down his 360.
Yeah. That'd be a sight to see.
All right, guys.
What Trey really should take from Vince is the haircut.
Just get rid of it all.
Yeah, if he had hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just get rid of it all.
Yeah.
Burn
Shout
it.
out to Jason Tatum for getting that haircut in solidarity with Trae Young.
Yeah, at least there's one more busted dome in the league.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of the official NBA Beancast. Remember, guys, we are on all social media at NBA Beancast. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all under the same name now, NBA Beancast. So hit us up there. And this one will be coming out on audio by Friday, on video 2 days after. So have a look for that. And with that said, thank you for a great career. Thank you for another episode, boys, and we'll see you next week.
Take care, everyone. Stay safe.